present. Item 2 is a Community Development Department referral. Consider a request from the Community Development Department to apply for a Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation Site Assessment Grant for environmental cleanup activities at 330 9th Avenue South.
So in the end, the item is pretty self-explanatory. We're looking to continue on with the, demolition of the site and would like to go after this grant. We should get the grant. Everything's in place to get it. We just have to do the formalities.
And it's a matching, is it one of those 80-20 match grants?
Yeah, I do believe there's a match. I don't know exactly the amount. But I know that we can, Kyle had mentioned something where we could use our phase 1 and phase 2 environmentals as part of the match for this grant, for the monies that were already allocated for those.
Okay. And this is the one that the county had. And okay. Committee,
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
got a motion by Tim to approve, second by Veneman. All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. Motion passes 2-0. We don't have any.
The dollar amount he has listed is $150,000.
It's
I think
to
that's the match.
Here he is.
it's to apply.
Yeah.
Sorry for the delay.
It's to apply for the grant. So. Yeah. You.
Okay.
All right. Motion to reconsider item 2A.
Second.
We're coming back. Motion by Catnow, second by Tim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Reconsidering item 2A with Mr. Kearns here to give a little more explanation. Go ahead.
All right, so summary of the request. This stems back to the process outlined 2 years ago when we identified the foundry process will take 3 to 5 years to clean up. This is step 3 of the process. We had done a phase 1 site assessment through the DNR. That was a grant that they entirely covered. We have that phase 1 that called for a phase 2 environmental site assessment. In working with the DNR has been able to extend the current grant into the phase 2, which is estimated at about $46,000. The phase 2 includes underground soil testing, potential monitoring wells, and so forth. The WEDC also has a grant that can be utilized for building demolition to a certain extent, contamination, like above ground contamination cleanup. So there are barrels of contaminants on site. And so what you can do strategically if both of the grants align is you can utilize the phase 2 budget through the DNR grant as a match, the 20% match towards the WEDC grant request. So I'm in the process right now of filling out the application, hoping for the approval for the WEDC grant, getting estimates for building demolition, for a hazardous building materials survey, so like asbestos, lead paint, things of that nature, as well as getting estimates for the removal of those contaminants. Hoping that if we're awarded the WEDC grant, that WEDC grant can cover the costs that I just alluded to, and then we don't necessarily have to pay a match if we can utilize the DNR grant budget as that matching component. The interesting point here is that the DNR is scheduled to start doing the environmental testing this fall. It's going to take the WEDC 3 weeks to do a preliminary review after I apply for the grant. So hoping that the weather stays warm, because that'll take us into November. But the hope is that we get some soil testing done with both grants approved in November and have some preliminary details back to us before the end of the year. That will then dictate how we pursue with step 4 or step 5, depending on how you look at it, with hopefully known contaminants or the extent of any contaminants known. We can then apply for a potential brownfield cleanup grant through the WEDC or EPA or other sources of funds, again, depending on what's found at the site. So that's a summary of both where we're at now, where the project could go, and then the request that I'm asking of you tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Nothing here.
One thing to add, if I may, there's always a chance that the WEDC, for whatever reason, does not recognize the DNR budget as a match. So there's always a chance that we may have to pay that match if they don't recognize it. So if we get the approval and they say, well, we can't recognize that grant match, there's a chance that we'd have to pay 20% of that 150. If that's the case, which I think is very slim, because there are 2 other examples that both the DNR and the WEDC have alluded to where that's happened. One is Baraboo. Then we would utilize TIF funding to pay for that match, and we would likely come back for a request to utilize those TIF dollars if that's the case.
So we talked about this a while back, multi-phase project, grants along the way, this hoping to be one of them, and then it's on to the next phase. Goal at the end of the day is to demolish the building, rid the property of contaminants, and make it viable again, which may come at some cost to the city. I think I had you throw a projected number out a while back, but it's probably not relevant, and it depends on how much this is. But there is going to be a cost, and this is just taking us to the next phase. And this is a property that was formerly owned by the county that we took on and decided to do this project for, and we're hoping on grants for it. And my whole stance on it is the cost over the phases of the project, and I don't think we should have took it from the county. So that's why I voted against it before we reconsidered, and that's just my stance on it.
I'll make another motion to approve the request to apply for the WEDC SAG grant in the amount of $150,000, including the possibility to take on a commitment for a 20% match.
I'll second it.
Motion by Tim, second by Veneman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion passes. 2 ayes, 1 nay. Item 3, licenses and permits. I'll motion to consider the items under this heading together.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any questions on the licenses and permits, which include the Center for Wisconsin Culture, a couple retail Class B license there, Assumption Catholic Schools, and a few of the gas stations on A Street. Any questions for Jennifer on those? Okay, motion to approve the licenses and permits.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0. On to item 4, which is resolutions. Consider for approval budget resolution number 3. Tim?
Sure. The resolution was included in the packet. I'll just give a brief summary of what's contained in the resolution. If you recall, when we adopted the 2025 budget, we anticipated to borrow $1,375,000 for street construction projects. But, with favorable operating surplus in the general fund and some reserves in the TUD fund, we were able to lower that to $725,000. So basically what part of this resolution is doing is just amending the budget to show that transfer from the general fund and the TUD fund to the Public Works Construction Fund, and then a corresponding reduction in the proceeds from long-term debt and the debt issuance costs. In the EMS fund, in the 2024 budget, we had budgeted a new ambulance, but we did not take delivery of that in 2024. And so subsequently, we've taken delivery in 2025. So it's amending the budget for those funds that were in the EMS fund to appropriate that over to the expenditure account to cover the cost of that ambulance, which we paid this year. In the room tax fund, this is the adjustment for the Whitterfield Light project. A portion of that was funded from the Whitterfield outlay in the general fund, showing that transfer of $47,700 from Whitterfield outlay to the park outlay account. And also we had in the grants and donations fund, we had a league park grant from a number of years ago that we utilized that, an amount of $18,372. So we're transferring those into the room tax fund and appropriating to the park outlay account. And also we received a $100,000 legacy foundation grant for that. So I'm recognizing that revenue and appropriating those funds over to the park outlay account. The other items in the grants and donations fund are just periodically throughout the year, we get donations and funds for certain things that weren't contained in the 25 budget. So I'm just recognizing those revenues and appropriating it over to the appropriate expenditure account. And in the tax incremental district number 7 fund, the financial consultant, that is the amount for the plan, the financial consultant that we utilize to amend the project plan in TID number 7. Also, there was a residual expenditures related to downtown planning grant that we undertook in 24. So we had the final payment in 25, so amending the budget for that. In the street construction for $130,000, the council approved a traffic design study or analysis for the East Jackson Street project. That's being funded through the TID, and then we had some residual expenditures with the bridge lighting project. So in a nutshell, that's what's contained in the resolution. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. DeSorsi on the budget resolution number 3?
Tim, in the, like the K-9 program, the donations that come from that, do those stay with that program, or do they go into like a general fund but the money's still available?
For which one?
For like the K-9 program?
Right. So basically, we get throughout the year we get K-9 donations, and that's that 1,490. So I'm recognizing that revenue, and then I'm appropriating it over to the police department for the K-9 program. So
Gotcha.
the grants and donations funds is for any specific monies we receive for a specific purpose. We keep it in there so we ensure that what it was donated for, it's spent for.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, committee, what's your wishes on the budget resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Budget amendment number 3.
Motion by Veneman, second by Tim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. On to item 5, audit of the bills. Consider for approval checks number 27258 to 27563. All right, I'll make a motion to approve checks number 27258 to 27563.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Item 6, meeting dates. So set the next regular meeting date. The first Tuesday in November is November 4th. Does that work for everyone?
Should be fine.
Yes.
All right. So November 4th at 5 o'clock will be the next regular meeting of the Finance and Property Committee. On to B, schedule Finance and Property Committee 2026 budget review meetings. I'll just go over a little bit of what's been done in the past and dates available. So being that we got some initial information on the budget the end of last week, hopefully everybody has had time to take a look at that or will have time in the next coming week. What's been done in the past is the first meeting of a series of meetings would be a budget review where we would look over that with Tim and the mayor. They can walk through it, speak to it. We can ask questions and get a handle on, what conclusion was came to in the executive budget and why things are the way they are before we then go on to consider who we want to bring in, what departments, what actions we'd like to take, etc. So that would be next Tuesday, which is October 14th.
I am out if that matters. But
Okay.
I'm out of town the week for work.
Pardon?
Mr. Tim can't make it. Are you available?
On the 14th? I believe
Week-
so.
Week from today.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'd probably hold the budget review meeting then. Other dates that are available, and I'm gonna read these off, and then we can leave it up to the committee on who we want to bring in and when we want to bring them in. Obviously, common council will follow the Tuesday after next Tuesday. But Tuesday, October 28th, Thursday, October 30th, Tuesday, November 4th, Thursday, November 6th. Tuesday, November 11th would be the final meeting, the final budget review. Any changes to be made before we would bring it forward for a public hearing, which tentatively could be on November 12th. The 13th, Mr. DeSorsi has a conflict. So I threw a lot of dates out there. I think we don't need to decide who we want to bring in for each one of those days right now. We'll be getting together next week and going through the documents we received and potentially more as they continue to work on the budget, and then they will talk and walk us through it, and we can ask questions, and then we'll decide where we want to go from there. Historically, when it was done this way, I think one of the first groups to be brought in was public safety. So you would have each of the chiefs come in and walk through their budgets, be able to ask them any questions, also, consider any changes you would need. Public Works is another big one that would usually follow the meeting after, and bringing Paul in and having him go through what 2026 looks like for him and his department. And then there's obviously others throughout the city that we can choose to bring in. Big ones are Water and Light, Library, and we have all sorts of smaller departments and contracts that we can slide in on any of those dates as well to discuss if we decide it's something we want to look at after going over the initial budget review. We may not have a reason to bring anybody in. We also don't have to. So oftentimes if we are considering making a change to a budget, you bring those people in, but we technically don't have to if we want to have them come in, present their budget, and then take that information in and make changes as we go, we can do that as well. So just throwing that out there for the committee on what your preferences would be. And then the public hearing does have to be mid-November, correct?
Yeah, I mean, typically we've had it like sometime that week before the council, the regular
Yep.
scheduled council meeting where we take it up.
Yeah, so this would be that week. So we got between now and then to meet. I really think from the 30th to 11th, that would be where we would meet the Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 meetings there. One next week, one the Tuesday after council. So in total, we could be looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 finance meetings and then a public hearing. And if we get to a point where we feel we don't need those, I mean,
And you don't think we'll be ready by, earlier in that week, last week of October?
you don't think we'll be ready for what?
Well, you said that we'd start, if we called people in, it would be in November.
No, our first meeting after we have the initial budget review would be Tuesday, October 28th, and then
Okay,
we would potentially be looking at another one on the 30th. I could send this out to 14th, 28th, 30th, November 4th, 6th, 11th, public hearing on the 12th.
Does the public
14th,
hearing
28th,
happen in
30th?
here?
The public hearing happens in here, and
'Cause I think you have municipal court that evening on the 12th. According to
Tim's got a
Jen.
conflict on Thursday, so that's the whole council. So we're gonna have to find a day there where that works before common council. Yeah, Thursday's open, Tim. Otherwise it's Friday, and the court has it Tuesday and Wednesday. '17th, it's open. So
10th as well, if you want to go 10.
10th as well. So we can decide that at a later date.
Is it possible to do the initial with the mayor and Tim before the council meeting on the 21st, like at 5 o'clock, since we'll have to come in that night anyway?
Yeah, that's the plan. That would be what we're doing Tuesday, October 14th.
Right, I'm saying do it the 21st, or you can't do that at 5 o'clock and before the council meeting.
I think that'd be pushing it pretty close. I mean, if we get into, there's a lot in the budget, and then if we have questions, I mean, we'd hate to cut that short.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Or the,
Do you have something, Tim?
I was gonna say, or maybe the 16th, that work for the budget review? That Thursday instead of the Tuesday to Thursday?
I can't make the 16th.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess let's pin down the first one here, the budget review. Does the 14th work? I know you said it doesn't for
Yeah,
you.
not for me.
Work for you?
Yes.
All right. So we'll go with the 14th as the next meeting of the Finance and Property Committee regarding the budget.
Hey, Jake, did you talk about the 20th, Monday the 20th, that was out too? Did I miss that?
For the,
Are you talking about for the,
For the budget, the initial budget review, so everybody could be there?
that'd be nice. That'd work.
I can't do the 13th. The 20th would hypothetically would work. I mean, does that work for you, Dean?
Yeah, I can do the 20th.
All right, let me take a look here. I believe I can do the 20th too. So
Let's do it the 20th, but Michael should be there.
Yep, I'll be there.
is that to give you guys more time to
we'll be ready either way. I was just hoping
To get Michael there.
everybody there.
Okay. All right, yeah, 20th, and then we'll have council the next day.
So nothing on the 14th.
Nope, we'll just leave it be, and we'll reconvene on the 20th at 5 o'clock to do the initial budget review.
Then I think you had the 30th too, but that could be in a conference room, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm not too worried about having the council chambers available. It's more going to be trying to get them on dates that are typically meeting dates that are going to work. So the Tuesdays and the Thursdays, and we'll adjust based on the availability of everyone to be at those, not necessarily the room it's in.
Okay, so the 28th and 30th, you said, and then, did we have anything in that first week scheduled yet, or is the next one is the 12th? Did I miss something?
The first week of
November. You got 28th and
yeah.
30th.
So the regular meeting of the Finance and Property Committee is going to be November 4th at 5.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay.
And then the hope would be we can meet again Thursday, and then meet again one last time on November 11th, and then have the public hearing on. We just went with a different day for that, didn't we? Otherwise, I had it in my notes as the 12th.
Yeah, the 12th this wasn't available. Council chambers, right?
Yeah, and Tim has a conflict on the 14th, so
Could you back them up to 10th and 11th? Public hearing on the 11th? Oh, they got pre-trials, never mind.
yeah, and that was yeah. So, but we got the what did we go to? We got the 20th at 5, and we can, as the schedule sorts out, and I'll look at this calendar we got today on availability, we can schedule the rest at that meeting as well. But the goal is to meet as many times as we need to. These are the dates that typically it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. We can change it up and do a Monday as long as availability allows. And if we can't get the council chambers, we can't get it, there's 2 other conference rooms, and or we can go elsewhere in the city, and there's plenty of spots. Sound good?
So at the initial review meeting, we will decide who's coming on the 28th? Who's going to present or whatever?
Yeah, so we can decide that now, or we could decide it then. But like I said, typically you'll bring in the big departments first, public safety. At the next meeting, bring in public works. Try to get someone else on the back end of that agenda. And after we do the initial budget review, that's when I think it'll become clear maybe who everybody wants to bring in through discussion.
Yeah, I'm just thinking to give enough heads up. If it's the 28th for public safety, then we can put that down.
We can put that down. It's a Dean. So, yeah, so we'll do budget review. I'm gonna have to change my notes here, but budget review the 20th, and public safety the 28th. Yep. Yeah, together.
Engineering and public works? Streets, public works?
We'll
Sure.
talk about all that. And then the public hearing, which we're gonna schedule tonight. So Monday, the 17th, is what I'm hearing. Does that work for everybody?
Yep.
Okay. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. No. No. Okay. There is nothing left on this agenda. Meeting adjourned at 5:30 PM.